welcome in latest episode of that SEC podcast, the latest Roush Hour with Nick Roush, Kentucky Sports Radio 11 personnel, and the man who predicted Kentucky to not only beat Toledo, but to beat Ole Miss coming up here. How are you, buddy?
Not feeling as great about that Ole Miss prediction, but I am very excited to talk about the games this week because it's one of those where every year going into week one, you know that there's going to be one game that is just nobody saw coming. Right. And, you might have seen it coming. So I wanted to start by asking this question to you, Michael. Who do you think had a better weekend, Auburn fans or Tennessee fans? Because it was pretty good for both, with one big reason in particular. But you might actually have two trump cards because Nico also got his ass kicked. So Ooh. Tennessee kind of got a little 1-2 punch. They had both of them lose.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but Nico has only been terrifying Tennessee fans for the better part of a year and a half, whereas Nick Saban and Alabama have been terrorizing Auburn for the better part of nearly 20 years. So we got to hand it to our guy, Nick. I mean, we were laughing our ass off, making fun of Gus Malzahn. What in the hell's he going to do? What could he possibly do to threaten the Alabama Crimson Tide? And I'll tell you what he did, Nick. He took them behind a damn woodshed and dropped their pants and spanked their ass on national television for 3.5 hours. So the only fools were you and I doubting Gus Malzahn. I think Auburn was a huge winner.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I had to go back and look at what I said about Alabama in the preseason because I felt like they were a team that I couldn't get a good beat on, right? Like it's like, well, they've got like I just kept telling myself, well, Ryan Grubb's coming back, the offense should be better. And the part that I wrote his biggest question about Alabama: are they good enough in the trenches? Nick Saban built a dynasty on dominant trench play. Last year, the Crimson Tide ranked 11th in SEC rush defense, allowing $137 a game, and they also were 9th in tackles for loss and 13th in sacks. The answer to that question is pretty clear because they let Castellanos run all over him. That was shocking, especially because, like you said, like Malzahn looked washed at UCF. It turns out all he needed to do was just play Bama. I mean, what? I don't know what that guy did in his life. Like, I don't know if he went down to Bourbon Street and found a voodoo Mama Juju or what it was, but like he has Bama's number. He just does. And I know laying 14 on the road is a lot, but like going into this year, you needed DeBoer to put it on the table and say, no. It's going to be different. It's going to be different than what it was with Saban, but we're going to light up scoreboards and it's going to be fun. I mean, they weren't even doing that, man. Like it is very concerning because I think the other part of this too, Mike, and you know this as well as anybody, like Bama with Saban it wasn't just the guys, it was the mystique around him. And, I got little kids. The other night we watched Hercules. And they said, well, how do you kill a god? You don't. You make them mortal. And Alabama's mortal now. They're just like the rest of us. And maybe initially, you lose to Vanderbilt. All right, they're vulnerable, but they're still Bama. The Oklahoma was like, oh, gosh, they doing it again? But this? And to just get your ass kicked. I mean, it's like they're not even throwing the football. Florida State was like, we don't need to throw. We're just going to run it down your throat. Like that. What world are we in? Alabama is now human. And you know what? You guys deserve it, man. You got to grow up in the social media era wearing an invisibility cloak. You just got to walk around like you were the talk of the town. Well, guess what? Now you're just one of us, and it sucks. It hurts. It hurts real bad. So welcome to the party, Alabama fans. You get to go through the weekly ups and downs of what it's like to be a college football fan. It is hell. It is a hell that we live in, that we embrace, that we get comfortable in. And it's peaks and valleys. You've been at the peak. You've been at the highest mountaintop. Well, you know what? at Breeze, it blows a lot harder up there. And Kalen DeBoer, he can't stand on 2 feet. We shouldn't overreact, but Mike, we can overreact because Alabama is human now. It's a
right.
people. It's human. They can be beat by anybody, and that's even a team like Kentucky or Mississippi State. Like, it is all on the table now.
Yeah, and man, don't you feel bad for them, Nick? After kicking in our teeth for 20 years, now they get to see how the other side lives.
And that's the part too where I don't feel bad dancing on their graves, not for a second, because like it was like, oh, you had a down year, so you just go to the playoff. Oh, you lost in the SEC championship game. Like, I would kill to see my team in the SEC championship game. Like, you got to live on another planet. You were in another stratosphere that will never be reached ever again. Like, that's not, especially with the playoff, like, it's going to be harder. It's going to be much harder. No, you don't have to go undefeated, but, like, you got to win at least 10 games, and then you got to win 4 playoff games. So, like, it's much, much harder. And it also is just more proof of point that Saban's the best to ever do it. I think the craziest part of this all, too, Mike, the part that I really enjoy, is that they still got to see Saban. You know, like, how many Bama fans out there are like, well, I mean, he's on the desk over there. Can we just bring him on down and tell him to coach the guys up? Like, he's right there. And then I don't know if you saw the clip last night where, you know, he's obviously going to be nice to his guys, right? You can get better from week 1 to week 2. Did you notice the teams he mentioned that can take the greatest jump from week 1 to week 2?
No.
He mentioned Notre Dame. They could take a big step forward. Texas. They could take a big step forward. Clemson. You know he didn't mention? He didn't mention Bama. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. And I think the most worrisome part of it all is, like, in my mind, all right, well, Bama just isn't the team they were under Saban. You know, like, they can't be this team that just dominates you in the trenches because the portal has made that harder to do. You can't just stack up awesome linemen and let the cake bake in there. They're going to get taken. They're going to go somewhere else. But you can't out-athlete them. My question is, Mike, who's Alabama's best athlete outside of Ryan Williams?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, right. Like, there's not like there's nobody over there that's putting the fear in your eyes, whether it's a running back or a receiver. So, like, this is one overreaction. I think we're totally like, let's take it and run with it. Not all, you know, some of them it's week 1, exhale a little bit, but this is sounding the alarms on Alabama. I mean, you were calling it the decaying dynasty a couple of years ago, and it was. I wanted to beat that drum with you, but we couldn't quite get there because old Nick Saban was there. But Thomas Castellanos is right. Nick Saban ain't there to save you.
No, he's hanging out with old Pat McAfee and Bill Belichick. You know what?
Yeah, watching old Bill hold that L.
Hey, shout out Gunner. Gunner gifted a membership, Nick, to Blueberry.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
Welcome, Blueberry.
He's a Tennessee fan. I don't know if he likes you, but that's all right. I think he likes all the comments you had. And, you know, Nick, naturally that leads me to another disappointing team because for these bandwagon, and we know who the bandwagoners are out there.
Yeah.
When you see Alabama in decay, you see it in the toilet. Kalen DeBoer is flushing Nick Saban's legacy down the toilet as we speak. They're grabbing over there to grab that Arch Manning jersey. Oh, no. These bandwaggers. I mean, who are they going to pick on next? Because I don't know if they can pick Texas. Texas embarrassed us all, 14-7. This was supposed to be the hope. This was supposed to be the team that was taking the mantle. They're writing articles. Is this the next Bama? Good God. How about they win a regular season game of importance before we crown them? What was your thoughts on Texas going up to Ohio State and the offense shitting the bed?
I was as surprised as anyone that Arch looked as scared as he did. But at the same time, like, this game really came down to 2 plays. Ohio State got their 4th and 1, and Texas didn't get their 4th and 1 at the goal line. And part of you, I know if you're a Texas fan, you're probably like, are we still doing this red zone crap? Like, Sark, can you seriously not figure it out? Like, this is the money down. This is where you should be at your best. But I thought the most startling part of it all is that, they averaged like 4.5 yards a carry, but they didn't, it never really came with any sort of explosiveness. So like, I wanted to see more, obviously, from Arch Manning, but that is a very tough spot. The running game was just all right. You didn't generate as much explosive plays as you wanted to out of Travion Wisner. But the other part too is it was just if you just take away, like, I don't think anybody expected, except for your boy Paul, I don't think anybody expected him to be Jesus Christ right out the gate, but you did expect him to just, I don't know, hit a drag route in stride, right, on 3rd and short. Like, that was Sark created some layups. That's what we said going into this. Sark is a very good play caller. He's very good at creating layups. Take advantage of those. And he didn't. That I think is where you've got to be most disappointed, is that just when it mattered, when they needed him to step up, he couldn't convert on those winning downs. I mean, they were 5 of 14 on 3rd down. That's just not like, you can't. How are you going to win games 5 of 14 on 3rd down? There was part of me, though, I'm not going to lie, Michael. As fun as seeing all the memes were throughout the game, I really, when he threw that first pass of the final drive, I was like, oh, Arch, please. Like, to mount a comeback, like, that would be, the internet wouldn't know how to handle all of that. Like, I really wanted that badly for him, for Longhorn fans out there. But that is one where I think many of us can say we were wrong, but also acknowledge that Arch is going to figure out, at least in the next couple of weeks. Like, that was a very tall ask. Hey, go beat the defending national champs at their home stadium in your first career start as a starter. I know he started in a couple games here and there, but that was a very tall ask for him. So, like, I'm not going to sound the panic button, the alarm. I'm not going to overreact to it right away. If nothing else, I do think that, like, okay, the Texas defense is going to be, they're going to be salty. They're going to be some salty dogs. Once you kind of get Arch rocking and rolling, they'll be fine, and they've got a little runway here to get it all figured out.
Right. And I think when we look back, again, I don't know much about Ohio State or Florida State because I don't care about those teams, but I feel like Florida State will be like 7-5 and we'll be like, how the hell do they whip the hell out of Alabama? While Ohio State will probably go like 11-1, and that'll look like a lot better loss. I mean, I'm not at all hitting the panic button with Texas, but for Alabama, I think I'm smashing it.
Yeah, no. Well, I just can't get over, like, what they're going to do, and you let them do it. Whereas, like, Ohio State and Texas, it was a week 1 rock fight between two clearly talented teams, like some of the most talented in the country, and the defenses were further ahead than the offenses. You expect that early on in the season. And at least in Texas's case, it's like, oh, well, we just need the 5-star quarterback to become a 5-star quarterback. There's a pretty good chance that happens. I mean, I go back to it, like with Ty Simpson. It's like Jalen Milroe was Jalen Milroe. You never thought to really put in Ty Simpson. Like, the fact that he got overlooked time and time again, that always worried me. Just, is he really going to be your savior? Him and Ryan Williams alone? Is that running game going to be able to do anything? I can't trust it. I can't trust it for a second. I can trust Wisner and Baxter. I can't trust Alabama's running game whatsoever, especially because you're right. Like, we could look back and Florida State be just like a Belk Bowl team,
Right.
where Mike Norvell's getting a mayo bath at the end of the year.
But I thought Jalen Milroe was the problem. That's going to cure everything, booting his ass.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, we were convinced it was Milroe, and then, they just get Ryan Grubb in there. They'll figure it out. Like, there is, like, I know that DeBoer, like, he's done it at every level, and Alabama's a different one, but, like, it's clear, like, he should be able to coach, but maybe Maybe not in a place with the magnifying glass as big as the one that he's got in Tuscaloosa.
Did you see the exchange he had with the where they said they were asking him about the week of preparation?
Oh my gosh. It like my skin is crawling just thinking about it. Like, I don't know if I said that or not. Like, buddy, yeah, I don't think you put on your big boy pants today. You're ready to just rat-a-tat with a reporter a little bit? You're trying to get him? That was uncomfortable as hell. Because whoever asked that is like, no, you definitely said that.
He was not motivated for that question, I'll tell you that. But I'll tell you who was motivated, Nick, and that's our buddy JR, who gets a membership every
The
show.
legend, Cousin JR, has done it again.
Wow.
Thank you, JR. He's gifted Asher Sachs. Asher, welcome to the family. And then the other guy, even though his team is currently in the toilet, and I hope for his sake they're back, is Steven Up. He gifted a membership. Shout out, Steven Up.
Always showing up for them boys in Tuscaloosa. It's Steven Up. Roll Tide.
Thank you, Steven Up. He gifted Connor Morrell. Connor, welcome to the family.
He needed that in a bad way because it was a rough weekend. But here is one thing. Like, I want to take a victory lap for a couple of things, because there's things you think going into this season, and then when it happens, you're just like, oh, hell yeah, we did it. So here's what I thought I knew, and that's that Missouri needed a quarterback. Well, they found it. They needed one guy. They found it, and it was unfortunately about like the most awful circumstances where Sam Horn's first play just done.
Right.
Absolute donezo. Sucks for that kid. But like Pribula did look the part in the blowout. Had the rushing yards and touchdowns like you see on the screen. 2 rushing scores, 2 throwing scores, completed 82% of his passes. Like, he's who I thought he would be going into this. And it felt like Drinkwitz was going through the motions to just really lift up Sam Horn and make him feel good about himself in case that Pribula got injured. Well, instead, now Horn's injured, and they're kind of, I don't want to say they're screwed, because you miss out on a backup quarterback, especially when you got a 5-star true freshman right there, or top 50, whatever he is, in Zollers. So like, they should be fine. But that, like, it sucked. It sucked that was the way they had to do it, but they needed to have one guy. They didn't need to be doing this whole juggling act with the Kansas coming into town. That's going to be a big game. That's a very old rivalry. Those teams do not like each other. I mean, that rivalry goes back to like the Civil War of just hatred. So we're bringing it back. It should be a very fun shootout. I'm very excited. That is a low key, like, when you get like the big national shows that don't pay attention to like the other stuff, they will gloss over the fact that this is going to be an awesome game. It's going to be a lot of fun when these two teams go toe-to-toe on Saturday.
Yeah, and possibly season defining, don't you think, for Missouri? Just given, all off season, Nick, the Mizzou fans have been pointing to, man, we've got some runway here to go. Now all of a sudden Alabama doesn't look as tough, but We've got a runway here to perhaps start 5-0 going into Bama. But this is the game that I think you should beat Kansas. But again, it's you haven't played it in a while. This game means so much. And these fans, that's all they've wanted to talk about all off season, Nick, is this damn Kansas game. If you lose it, I know they've got one of the more popular coaches in the entire conference when it comes to their fan base. They're not going to be out on him if he loses it, but he's going to lose some of them if he loses this damn game.
Because, like, to your point, the reason why his approval rating is so high is when it's a big game, his team's ready for it. Like they are, they're on it. Like you got to give them credit there. When the big moments arrive, they're ready. And even if they don't always knock them off, I know like they did have Saban's Alabama on the ropes a couple of years back. They at least show up ready to play. And so you're right. Like, I expect them to play well. If you don't, though, that's when you start saying, "Oh God, like what? If we aren't ready for this one, like we aren't going to be ready for that trip to Auburn." That looks a lot more challenging than it did a week ago. So that it's one of those that like all of history tells you with Eli Drinkowitz that his team will be ready for this big game. And if he doesn't, it won't like you said, you're not completely lost on it, and you could probably say, well, we could still win out and be in Atlanta or whatever, right? Like they're going to do some talking into themselves, but that would be the first real significant loss that I think Drink has really had that fans are desperate and hungry for, and he wouldn't be able to deliver on.
Right. So is Missouri, is that the team that kind of raised their ceiling the most for you in the conference, just now that we know they have a quarterback, or is there a different team?
There was a different team, and it's one that we also dogged a lot because they're a lot of fun to point and laugh at, and that's our friends on the Plains at Auburn. Because that going into this game, it was like, all right, like that offensive line is awesome. Keldrick Falk and that defense, they can be awesome, but can they help Jackson Arnold enough to where he can just be fine and they can win? And what I said on this show, on the Roush Hour last week, do they have enough? What's the rushing attack look like? Can Jackson Arnold get enough help in the running game? You know what? He just did it himself. That was I was unaware of your game, Jackson Arnold, because we saw him running for his life last year. I guess that's what it was. Oklahoma trained him for this by chasing him for his life all last year. So he got faster, I guess, like that I did not suspect that, but it was just the fact that they didn't have to ask him to do a ton, and they still, I mean, they were in control. And I know you got the kickoff return touchdown, and that certainly helps things. But like, I in basketball, I call it a buffer zone game, where like it's like 7 to 12 points the whole time, where you never really feel like you're threatening. Like you always feel pretty good about it. That's how this game felt. Where, yeah, Baylor would get it within a score, but then Auburn would just come out with the most deflating drives. There was one play in particular where I was going to come on here and just railroad this outside linebacker because it was 4th and goal. Baylor's going for it, and this was to get the game within 7. And the guy just like, it's like, dude, why are you giving up outside leverage? He's got to go 4 yards. You have guys inside of you. Why are you trying to be a hero? Maintain outside leverage. He doesn't. Baylor goes in and scores, and I'm like, oh, man, this is the part. Like, I thought that was going to be a defining moment. But credit to Auburn for just like, I mean, they kept their foot on the gas. They were unfazed every time that Baylor threw a punch. They were ready for a counterpunch. So credit to them. It was shockingly that, I mean, that's what Florida State did to Bama, right? Like when Bama was, anytime they threatened, Florida State was just like, we're going to keep running it down your throat. So sorry, Bama fans. I had to get one more in there.
Yeah. And, I've not heard this said a lot, Nick, but Auburn, the strong suit of the football team is supposed to be the defense, and they played kind of like a bend but don't break. They gave up a lot of yards, but they bowed up in the red zone for the most part.
Yeah,
particularly early in the game. I thought that was a critical stop that they got on 4th and goal. But if your defense is giving up a ton of yards and you still win by 2 touchdowns on the road, I got a lot of confidence in the defense to kind of correct those issues.
Yeah.
To where Auburn, I probably sold them down the river way too short, and that's a huge one. And now I'm not saying they're going to beat Oklahoma and A&M, but I'm starting to have belief that they can.
No, certainly. And for a couple of reasons. One, like Big 12 offenses, they're kind of spread it out and pick you apart with a guy like Sawyer Robertson. I don't think they're going to see that a lot. So the fact that they gave up some, but what they needed to, they held Baylor 5 of 15 on 3rd down. Like that's a good job of getting off the field. And if you add in the 4th downs, that's 8 of 21. Like that's pretty darn good. And the other part too is the other strength of this offense was supposed to be those big wide receivers. Singleton and Coleman caught 4 passes for 43 yards. Like that will. Those guys are going to eat eventually, right? Like it might take a minute for Hugh to figure out the rhythm. And I think that's still out there a little bit. Like, can Hugh Freeze have a modern passing attack? But if I'm an Auburn fan, I'm telling myself like, oh, we're just kind of keeping that in the tool chest for later. right? Like, eventually, just throw some damn go balls up to those big asses and have them go catch up on top of somebody, right? So, like, that's the part where if I'm an Auburn fan, I'm really excited because it's like, I mean, we got this under the hood. If we can crank that up, like, ooh, this might be something. This might be one of those years that we get to rocking and we get to rolling. However, the other team that I kind of want to believe, and I'm like, I can't get all the way there yet. That you mentioned earlier, it's going to be fun. Is that Oklahoma? Because Mateer was dotting the I's. He was crossing the T's. Efficient as hell. I want to say, what did he complete? 81% of his passes, 392 passing yards, was on point. However, it's one of those things where Oklahoma completely dominated Illinois State, as they should. But it's like, wait, what? Shouldn't this score be more than 35-3? Right? Like, weren't you asking the same thing, Mike? And I'm looking through the drive charts, and it's like, wait, what do you mean you're getting stopped on third down on your opening drive? Oh, and then your second drive, you convert the third down, and then you fumble it? Like, what? So there's like, I feel like Oklahoma fans had to be somewhat excited about that, but I don't know if you can get all the way there to be like, oh yeah, we're kicking Michigan's ass. They don't stand a chance. Like,
they're there.
I just don't.
But I agree with you. I'm just letting you know they think they're going to win by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't. I can't get there if I'm Oklahoma. Like, this is going to be a tough game in the trenches for them, and they didn't really get tested against Illinois State. And I don't know if Arbuckle is just going to, like, say we don't need to run the damn ball that much at all, but it's almost like they didn't even really try. Like, so I really what a lot of what this week 1 game said to me is they are living and dying on John Mateer. Like, this is John Mateer University. Go be a hero and figure it out. And like that just feels a little dangerous game to play. I know they're pretty good with those undersized quarterbacks, those short little guys who can sling it around the yard. But is John Mateer Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray? Is Arbuckle Lincoln Riley? Like, so I'm still a little leery going into this game because, like, I mean, Jay Nott should have been able to run all over Illinois State, and that wasn't the case. You know, that wasn't the case. So, like, they ain't gonna be able to run it against Michigan. John Mateer has to play hero ball in order to beat Michigan in week 2, and your defense has to be all up in Bryce Underwood's ass and get pressure on him, make his ass grass if you want to have a chance in that game. So I'm not all the way there with Oklahoma. They took a step in the right direction, but it's a long season. It's a very long season.
Yeah, it's a long season, Nick, and we got some hell of some matchups this weekend and really all year. So we're proud to partner up with SeatGeek. Check them out, SeatGeek. Promo code SEC10 to get 10% off your first order either at SeatGeek.com, or you could download the app, make it very easy on your phone. Maybe you're going to the Michigan-Oklahoma game. Maybe you're going to Ole Miss, Kentucky. I don't even know if there's seats available anymore.
Oh, there are, and get on SeatGeek now. Kentucky fans, how have we not sold out this game? This is our one chance at a sellout. Get your ass on over to SeatGeek. Promo code SEC10. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, you literally can't do any better than that. Also, we got our friends over at Prize Picks here. We got some daily fantasy, Nick, promo code SEC. You play 5, you get 50 over at Prize Picks. I think I only got one of my 3 Prize Picks. Right? So again, just fade everything I say, whether it's game predictions, whether it's daily fantasy over at Prize Picks, promo code SEC. Just fade what I have to say. I mean, you literally cannot go wrong based on my record. You know what?
Oh, I was 0 for 3 this weekend too on picks I gave out. Like, we were not great at picking them. It happens. It happens sometimes.
So, hey, I went back and I watched just in anticipation of this conversation, Nick. I rewatch all the games, but I made sure to catch Ole Miss beating the hell out of Georgia State and Kentucky squeaking by old Toledo last night. And I got to tell you, buddy, I'm a little nervous here because the best thing I could say about Kentucky, I thought their offensive line really kicked ass. They gave Calzada all the time in the world.
Zero sacks.
They were able to run highly, highly efficiently over Toledo. But I'm watching Ole Miss, and even though they had some mistakes early on, they had some interceptions, they look like $1 million. They look like no drop-off. I understand why these crazy people telling me Austin Simmons is an upgrade over Jackson Dart. I mean, he just looks the part. I'm not saying he's better than Jackson Dart already, but he could be a Heisman Trophy winner at some point in his career. He's looking that good. How confident are you in the Cats to defend the home turf here against Lane Kiffin and the boys?
I went into the season doing the same thing I did last year, and that's predicting a win at Ole Miss. And then the game week gets there, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel great about this, but I got to stick to my guns. And it's very similar, but in different ways. You have to be concerned about Kentucky's passing attack. And hell, you could say that for 11 of the 13 years that Mark Stoops has been coaching in Kentucky. They can't pass the damn ball. They can run it, all right. And, I didn't realize that Dante Dowdell had that in his back. He had a 79-yard touchdown run. Was known as a short yardage guy in Nebraska and really ran away from the defense there. So, but Kentucky's passing offense was just, I wanted to gouge my eyes out. It was so bad because they got off to a decent start, and then you have a long pass that's overturned to J.J. Hester. And then after that, it felt like, all right, we're going to chuck it deep and pray was the passing attack. Calzada completed 10 passes for 85 yards. Half the passes that were completed were 2 tight ends. Can the receivers get open? Can Bush Hammond and Scheming get open? I don't know. I don't think so. So, I actually think that Kentucky's defense is once again a really good matchup for Ole Miss because they had one of the PFF grades out pass rushes. Kentucky had one of the best in the country last weekend. Steven Souls had 2 strip sacks and I think I want to say a dozen pass rush attempts. That's pretty good. And the thing that's nice about their pass rush is he had the 2 strip sacks, but Alex Afari, the linebacker who had 13 tackles, he got in on the sack party. Cam Olds, another edge, he got back there and, tackled him 2 yards past the line of scrimmage while he was chasing him down. He had a nice play. And then Sam Green, the other edge transfer from USC, he forced an interception on the first pass of the game because he just bull rushed the tackle right into the quarterback's lap. So they're getting a lot of different guys involved. But, the key with Ole Miss is they play so fast. They really limit your opportunities. One of those big plays happens, and you can't go tee up and pin your ears back and get after Austin Simmons because they're already snapping the ball, right? Everything happens so fast. So a lot of it comes back to what happened last year, and that's Ole Miss. Kentucky made them one-dimensional. They took away that rushing attack, and I know that you're going to be thinking oh, Austin Simmons. But this is kind of similar to what I said about Jackson Arnold last week. Ole Miss has to be able to run the football to take some pressure off of Simmons because if not, Kentucky's secondary good and their pass rush is good. And that is a recipe for disaster. You probably don't remember this, Mike, but it was in your Netflix show when Kentucky got their teeth kicked in by South Carolina in week 2 last year. Before the teeth kicking happened they strip sacked Sellers twice in 3 plays, but didn't fall on the ball. And one of them, it was dude, just pick it up and run into the end zone. Tyrese Fearbridge just had a brain fart or something. That was one of those games that they almost tilted on its head with just a couple of those crazy plays. We saw Ole Miss be a little turnover prone in that opener against Georgia State. And we also saw them get a little leaky in the run game. So, there's a world where this game is close. But it could be a situation like how I predicted with Southern Miss and Mississippi State. So it could be close getting in the fourth quarter. Well, it was only close going into half, and then Mississippi State pulled away. I could kind of see something similar here where Kentucky keeps it close for a half, and then the third quarter turns, and there's a big moment. Kentucky has to have that big moment where there's a turnover or something crazy, or else Ole Miss can just get off to the races because Kentucky's pass offense they aren't keeping up in a shootout. Although I did enjoy Zach Calzada's longtime quarterback coach telling me that, well, he's better off in a shootout than in a low-scoring game. So when he gets into a shootout with Ole Miss, he'll be much better off. And I was like, yeah, I bet you're right about that. Kentucky and Mark Stoops, known for their shootouts.
Did we ever get to the bottom of what the hell was that play call on the safety? Was that a zone read they called for Calzada?
Don't.
That was the only. I was like, what in the hell? We in our own end zone.
Out of the pistol. I mean, the running back was his heels were on the back of the end zone, and they're doing a damn zone read. And after the game, it's like, well, he's got to hand that off. He's got to know he's got to hand that off. Don't give him the option. Make it halfback dive. Don't make it zone read. Like, I don't. There was another play too, Mike, that incensed me where Kentucky got down to fringe field goal range. You get 5 more yards, you're kicking a field goal, and it's 3rd and 8, and they go 5 wide and run a tunnel screen. It's like, but brother, if you go 5 wide, and I've seen this before, Kentucky doesn't go 5 wide. You're going 5 wide now. You're trying something crazy that ain't gonna work. So like, that.
Realistically, what is a score that results in a Kentucky win? You know, like, does it have to be in the 20s? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it would have to be like a 24-20 type deal. I think last year the final was 20-17. And like, and that's the part that is at least exciting, is I know they're the only SEC matchup of the week. That is on the table. It's just ultimately like, how much can you rattle Austin Simmons versus like, how good is this guy? Like, a lot. And I don't want to put, like, you think the game is more than that to him, but like, can the old 24-year-old play like the old 24-year-old, and can the 19-year-old play like the 19-year-old? If that happens, which we didn't see in week 1, then this will go down to the wire. But if it doesn't, and Calzada can't get into a rhythm, and meanwhile Austin Simmons is just throwing darts around all over the place, like, Kiffin might be getting some revenge after last year's loss that cost him a chance at the playoff.
Hey, one team we haven't hit on here, Nick, they had arguably the best win of the country last year was old LSU beating Clemson 17-10. Was that a surprise to you? You know, again, it was not even as close as the final score indicated. I didn't think.
They kicked their ass. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Going into this year, I was very high on LSU because I believe not just the receiver talent that they added, but I believe in Blake Baker. It's part of the reason why I thought Missouri would take a huge step back in 2024, and the Mizzou fans all called me an idiot, and they proved to be right. But I'm just a believer in Blake Baker figuring it out. In that, going into this season, they had way too many tools to not have a talented defense, and they showed just that, right? Like, they proved it going on the road in a hostile environment, and they pinned their ears back and got after it. Mike, I was a little hesitant to go out and start like laying the points and like, LSU's going to crush them, I'm going to hammer them. But when that game was tied at halftime, I saw that money line at plus 300, and oh, boys, we got the hammer out. We made up for all the other losses. Shout out my bookie for getting us there, because that felt great to cash that big winner late Saturday night. I was with a bunch of people who were riding on Clemson. We were out at a watering hole watching it, and I was the only one who celebrated that 4th down stop. But big picture-wise, like, just the fact that they have a defense that Blake Baker can use, right? Like, he wants to be like 3rd and Grantham light, you know, like he wants to be a blitz boy. He wants to get after him. And you know what? I'd want to do that too if I had Harold Perkins on my unit. He's finally got the DBs that can lock up, which feels so weird to say about LSU cornerbacks because they've had so many good ones over the years. But he's got the DBs that can lock him up long enough to be able to get after him. And they got after Klubnik's ass. They absolutely got after him. I think if you looked at Clemson last year when they started winning a bunch late, a lot of that because they were going up against just inferior defenses in the ACC. They don't play defense in that league. I don't know how well this one's going to travel, right? Like, but this was big for their confidence, and that's what I think half of defense is anyway, right? It's a belief that you're going to go out there and you aren't giving that other team another yard. It's Coach Yosin, remember the Titans. Not another yard. I mean, we are going to blitz all night. I mean, that's Blake Baker, right? Like, he's just like, we're going to pin our ears back and get after them. And now that you've got a proof of concept, you're dangerous, because that is one thing about Clemson is they got a good defense. And it felt like LSU left, 10, 17 points off the board. I know they got some taken off of them because that Berrien Brown touchdown, which I still don't understand. LSU, like, I feel very vindicated about them. Made sure I got a Nussmeier Heisman bet and a playoff bet in for them before the game started. The other one that I feel right about, but also wrong, is I was like, I'm worried about the supporting cast at South Carolina. I don't think they're any good.
I was waiting for this.
Here's the thing, Michael. It might not matter because Sellers is that good. Like, that's the part that sucks. It's like he might just be that good. And Beamer can just do the damn Beamer ball thing. He just hits the button, and it's like, oh, the offense has really struggled after our first scripted series. All right, let's go get a punt return touchdown. And, if you notice, Mike, not a lot of them like doing the in-game interviews with the reporters. There's one coach where he will go out of his way to talk to the reporter even when he doesn't have to. And, of course, it's Shane Beamer. I mean, my God, dude, just give it a rest, all right? You don't have to kiss everybody's ass all the time, all right? You got a future top 5 draft pick playing quarterback for you. Go out there and just let him throw the ball. I really like calling Nick Harbor a defensive end too, because like it's fun. South Carolina fans haven't gotten a rise out of it too much yet, but like that was the most Nick Harbor game ever, where he gets a touchdown overturned, then he hits on a go ball, and it's like, oh, see, look at this guy, he's awesome.
So wait, so you think this is corny?
Honestly, I'm just disappointed that when they had that in Atlanta, it was the night when we watched the Netflix show. They had it out, and I was going to put it on, and then I got a little caught up in the cocktails, and then getting mad over Shane Beamer in the Netflix series. It happened, but Sellers, man, that guy's awesome, and it's just when you see a guy like that at South Carolina, it just makes you say, like, can we get one of those? Like, when's our turn to get one of those guys, right? Like, I had to watch Louisville with Lamar Jackson for the longest time, and then now Sellers is at South Carolina. I mean,
we had Will Levis.
I mean, but he wasn't one of those. Like, he was good, but he wasn't one of those. Like, those are the guys that you're going to see on Sundays for a long time. And here's another scary thing too, Michael. Begrudgingly have to say, what happens when Heupel gets one of those? Like, they're kicking ass with Joey Aguilar, and we had like there was like a drive or two there where it's like, oh man, he might suck. Like, this is great, and then you look up and shit, they're up by 3 touchdowns, and then all of a sudden he's hitting bombs, and Syracuse might stink. Tennessee left the back door open for him. They didn't take it. But I mean, what's Heupel going to do when he actually gets a great quarterback? Because Hendon Hooker is his best one so far, and that guy is just like a good college quarterback. What happens if he gets one of these NFL guys who's a true bona fide badass?
Yeah. Well, they got one. They've got a elite 5-star committed, but it seems like they've had that about 3 times and not been able to recapture that magic. But
you got McIntyre now, and it's like, well, he was a 5-star. Can he be it? But if one of those dudes hits, it's like, come on. But you do got to be sweating a little bit though now, right? You lost another corner.
Yeah. With Georgia coming up, Tennessee's probably going to be down to their top 2 corners. Will likely not be playing in that. Tennessee's defense got pretty banged up against Syracuse. That is a major concern.
Right. And especially, I don't know how much you take away from Georgia's win over Marshall. I mean, it's Marshall after all. But like Gunnar Stockton, they basically said, all right, dude, go eat, get feeling confident because we're gonna need you. If he's humming, and you don't have McCoy back yet from the ACL, and the other guy's hurt too, like that's tough sledding.
But
that's tough sledding for that defense.
I think you're burying the lead. Well, actually, you led with the lead, but I think it's all about Joey Aguilar, man, because now that Tennessee could push the ball down the field, something that the last couple of quarterbacks were very ineffective at, except for when they play Kentucky. But now that they got this guy back, and he's a damn gunslinger, Nick, and we know they can run the football. I think Tennessee is capable. I'm not saying they're going to beat all these teams, but I think they're capable of beating just about anybody on the schedule, and that includes Georgia because it is a home game. Now, Georgia would be a heavy lean, I would think, but the rest of them, well, I think Florida could be a damn nightmare. But beyond that, I think Tennessee's capable of beating any of these teams.
I don't know if there's one play that raised the floor for a team more than that 73-yard touchdown pass to Braylon Staley. Like, because that was your question, right? It was, all right, we think Aguilar can be kind of the scrappy guy, and he has the intangibles of a dude that you kind of want to build your offense around, but it's like, but can he do the one thing that we need him to do, and that's deliver some long balls? For him to hit that guy in stride so perfectly, so effortlessly, I mean, I just said shit. Like, they're, just damn it. Like, you were supposed to stink, and really now, I mean, you can say after 1 week that you won the Nico trade. I wanted this to be happening until October. All right, I wanted this to be like a problem, and hell, things can happen. Obviously, week 1, you're going to be much different by week 10. But that the capability to just be able to do that one play that says, all right, it's got it in his bag, and it's not like he's doing it against East Tennessee State either. He did it against Syracuse, a team who won 8 games last year. I know there's a lot of turnovers, but Fran Brown is going to end up being a big-time coach. The way he recruits, like, this feels like if he wins big at Syracuse, he's going to go somewhere else and be one of those hot names on the coaching board. Like that, this is a legit opponent, and you went out there and you made roughshod of him. And so now, like, I really thought that this team had a 9-3 ceiling max, and like not even an impressive one either. One where they're like, oh, it's a playoff 9-3 team, like like a ranked like 18th most of the year, pretty like middle of the road top 25 team at best.
Essentially Missouri last year.
Yeah, like now you actually, we get everybody healthy, we can go back to the playoff, and that just, I mean, damn it, what the hell.
Maybe Tennessee and Josh Heupel's office, that maybe it thrives with a quarterback that doesn't have something to prove. Like, it's like a cast-off, like an Aguilar, like a Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
Whereas Joe Milton, everybody knows how far he can throw the football. He's got to, he's got to prove that he's elite. Nico, all the hype.
They're both big 5-star recruits,
Right. So I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. And maybe there's also something to Thor Kane just gave us $5. He says Kentucky's getting whiffing fired before Sunbelt Billy. Lock it in. Go Cats. Shout out from Georgetown. Thoughts on that comment, Nick?
Shout out Georgetown. I don't know if they're going to be running Kiffin out of town, but I do just interacting with some Ole Miss folks this week. There is that loss haunts them. That loss truly, truly haunts them. And those fans are out for blood. If they can't get it, it'd be a real shame. It'd be a real doggone shame. Hey, I got something to bring up to you, Mike, that I'm curious your thoughts on, because Mark Stoops, we did our boring coaching rankings previously, and he's a pretty boring guy.
Right.
But he said something on his coach's show that I'm wondering if you're for or against. He thinks it's really dumb that this sport doesn't have any sort of preseason whatsoever. And he says, you know what? We should have preseason scrimmages or preseason practices against other teams. Are you all for that? Having other teams mix it up against each other before week 1? Or do you kind of like that these teams got to drink from a fire hose on Labor Day weekend?
Well, yeah, I mean, I see positives from both of it. It is kind of fun to get the uncertainty, but if we're going to go, and we are certainly going to this, more conference games and more, we got to keep games like Kentucky, Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is beneficial to play another game, one of these cupcake style games, and I would absolutely love it if they did that in the spring. But they would obviously have to ensure that there's no portal after,
right?
For many reasons. You don't want your roster rated.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want, let's say, Eastern Kentucky playing Kentucky. And then Eastern Kentucky's got this receiver. It's like, wow, he's making all these plays. Next thing you know, next week he's in the portal. I don't want to see that either. But I think that is a way to make spring games really fun again.
Yep.
Make them different. And if you're a Kentucky, literally, if you're any team, you'd be able to play literally everybody on your roster potentially. I think that's a way to do it.
I do too. The spring portal window is stupid anyway. I mean, the most players your individual team's going to get anyway are like 4 or 5, but there's a chance you might lose somebody who'd be a quality depth piece just because somebody promised him playing time elsewhere. So I think it would be great for the spring. I know Syracuse tried to do it with Colorado. Dion and Fran Brown tried to pull that off previously. I hope they can get it done, because the other part too of like doing it in like a preseason in August setting, do you really want to add another week of blows to the, like, do you want to see those guys take those licks when they're about to go through 12 weeks of it? Not really, but it would be nice if you could get one more shot during the spring just to be able to kind of, knock the cobwebs off a little bit, tackle, like a lot of teams, this is the first time they've tackled in 8 months, something like that. So I think a little bit could go a long way, make the sport a lot more fun.
And some of it is like coach BS. I'm not buying all of it, but there is something too. And you would know, I think it was like 2 years ago, Kentucky didn't have enough linemen to essentially do Kentucky versus Kentucky.
Right.
That's why this also makes more sense if it's your whole 100, 85, whatever roster. It's much easier to do a competition against another team. So I'm a big believer in that too, because of the portal has affected depth for people across the board. It does make it difficult to have a full game when it's just one roster to pick from. Exactly.
You don't have to go splitting the squads up and then like rigging the game to where it's just some easy blowout here and there. So,
and I think not having spring games, I know that's to some people that's like a trivial thing, but I think that really does hurt college football. I really do.
Yeah. Well, because you're asking more from the fans and you just keep taking more away from them. Like, that's a fun Saturday weekend in April. So let's make April fun again. I know we're in the meat and potatoes of it right now, but let's make that fun again.
Hey, speaking of fun, would it be fun for you if Florida lost to South Florida? Florida looked like $1 million. They were playing a beverage, though, Long Island. And South Florida, meanwhile, they beat a ranked Boise. Not only did they beat them, they beat the shit out of them. So I don't know. Any thoughts on this game and what it could tell us about the Gators?
I hate saying nice things about South Florida, too, because then I got to say nice things about Alex Golesh, which is basically a nice thing about Tennessee. And I hate it because I just do. But isn't there, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there like a thing where Tennessee can't beat Florida at home, but they beat them at Florida? Is that, what's the thing there? Isn't there something weird like that?
No, Tennessee can never beat Florida regardless, but they certainly they haven't beaten Florida since 2003 at Florida. Okay,
so yeah, don't sweat it, Gators fans. You're basically playing Tennessee light. I know the quarterback is pretty good and he ran around, but I knew there was something weird there. So yeah, don't sweat it. It's South Florida. I know it's going to be hot.
But this would be the most Tennessee thing ever to have the assistant you had that for all we know, he was the key to our success in 22.
Yeah.
He takes a freaking South Florida and wins at Florida, and Heupel in Tennessee with a better roster can't do it later in the year.
He showed a lot of balls with that fake punt, and that really turned the game. Like, it completely was like Boise State I think that shell shocked them quite a bit, and they were never able to recover. I don't know if they have a big enough haymaker to land to shell shock Florida because they're so capable of throwing haymakers of their own, right? Like this screams to me of a game that like can actually become kind of nutty, back and forth shootout. Because South Florida, you got that in the bag. Well, we got more of this, and when in doubt, we can also just turn off and around and hand it off to Jaden Ball too. Like he's pretty good. He'll chip away and then eventually bust out an explosive. So I'm not too terribly worried about the Gators in this situation. What I think you really worry about is just it's a little bit further down the line when that meat grinder just adds up on them. Because I'm sure they're just fired up to be able to play a team with a pulse. Sunbelt Billy, he's so hyped that like he has that South Florida won that game to where he could really get his team's attention. They're not going to be sleeping on the Bulls. It's an in-state game. So motivation will not be in short supply at the Swamp. I think Florida ultimately will take care of business and take care of business rather handily.
What's your level of interest in this one? Vanderbilt at Virginia Tech. They played last year. Vanderbilt shocked them. Vanderbilt looks, of course, it was against Charleston Southern, but they look sharp as hell. Diego scored 3 touchdowns, 80% completion. This is an opportunity for Vanderbilt to prove that last year was not a fluke and they are a bowl team again. But it almost feels like they got to get this one to make the postseason, though.
Yeah, and the other part of it for me, too, is just the other side. Like Brent Pry keeps losing these close games. He keeps losing these big moments. Like, eventually they got to break through. Really, low-key, Mike, the kicker might be the big difference maker here. I know, we're going to talk a lot about Drones and Pavia in the lead-up because they're both fun players who do a great job of extending plays. But Virginia Tech's got a kicker that can blast it 58 yards and make it. Like that is something to keep an eye on Saturday. If this is a close game, Pavia, I think what he did best last year that doesn't get enough credit for is playing keep away. If it's a 4-minute drive, he was salting the game away. They were finding a way to make sure that the other team didn't get the ball back in their hands. That has to be the case once again this Saturday because Virginia Tech's got an experienced starter at quarterback and a kicker with the big leg. I think that one's going to go down to the wire and ultimately come down to which quarterback makes the winning plays in crunch time.
And then last one I wanted to ask you about, Nick, Arizona State at Mississippi State. This is an opportunity for Jeff Lebby and company to prove that there is an actual turnaround in Starkville, but they are underdogs at home. Any thoughts on this one?
I think the dogs are going to be howling because that they got a good test where they had to buckle up and they were able. I think the most important part is that in short yardage situations, they went out and got Fluff Bothwell from USA, and he's your meat grinder in there. All right, the field's getting a little tight. You can't do all your run and shoot, hippy dippy, New York Jets bull crap, right? You can't. Sometimes you just got to be a meat and potatoes kind of team, and Bothwell's the kind of guy that can get those hard yards in short yardage situations. The cowbells are going to be ringing. I don't know if they pull off the upset, but I think they're going to keep it close enough and potentially cover that number against the Sun Devils from Arizona State.
Yeah, that would be a huge win for the SEC to stick it in the old Big 12's face. You know what?
Hell yeah. And like Lebby needs a feel-good moment. And it might be asking a lot because Sam Levitt can dial it up. He can throw it across the yard. But like they showed something to me last week that they didn't have in their bag. So Fluff Bothwell, I think he's the real difference maker. Shapen's going to be able to throw the ball out to the flats and do all that sort of thing. Converting those hard yards. That's where the SEC it's the difference between this league and all the other ones. Getting down there and dirty in the trenches, mucking it up, and getting the hard yards.
All right, well, Nick, you showed the cousins something on the latest edition of the Roush Hour. Before you go, can you tell them how to follow you and how to find your work?
Come hang out with me over at KentuckySportsRadio.com. I'm at Roush KSR on Twitter. Got a new profile picture of the new season. I hadn't updated it in 10 years, so I thought I was overdue. So rocking a blue cowboy hat, having a good time. We're going to have a good time on this show, and it's always fun hanging out with y'all on the SEC podcast.
And I just can't wait for next week, Nick, because you're going to be on cloud 9 or you're going to be down in the dumps.
Yeah, there's really no in between.
All right, so that's going to do it. We'll be back later tonight with Cousin Shane, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. We'll catch you on the next one.
Hey, buddy, this beer's for you, Mike, and Cousin Shane. That SEC podcast loves the Pirate, and the Pirate loves that SEC podcast. Hail State.